Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video today I will be talking about the FNAF Security Breach DLC. I'm not going to be going over any news we have for it or what I predict it's going to be.
So that was a fucking lie.
I'm just going to be talking about what I feel like they should do with the DLC itself. And what better topic to start off with than the Choose Your Own Guardian DLC idea. Now, a lot of people love this idea and think that it is the best option for any sort of DLC for this game, but this is personally my least favorite idea for DLC that people have come up with. Now, if you don't even know what the Choose Your Own Guardian DLC idea is, it's pretty much just instead of Glamrock Freddy being the one who's helping you throughout the game, you get to choose which Glamrock animatronic you want to help you. And the problem I have with this is the same problem that lots of other people have with this idea also, and it's that it throws off the lore. There are three types of FNAF players. First you have the casual players, then you have the ones that are interested in the lore, and then you have the weird ones. And yes, I'm one of the ones that is super interested and into the FNAF lore. So the fact that Glamrock Freddy is possessed by Michael Afton means that if you have any other Glamrock animatronic helping you throughout the game, that just wouldn't make sense lore-wise. So if I don't think that a Choose Your Own Guardian DLC would be good as an actual DLC for the game, what would I consider to be the best idea for a DLC for Security Breach? So let's start off asking, where should it take place? In the Pizzaplex. It should take place in the Pizzaplex. There is so much unused rooms in that game, to the point where it would be such a missed opportunity if they just made a whole new map for DLC. Like, come on, just wait until the next game to make a brand new map. Use what you've already gotten made. That would be such a benefit storage-wise, and it will give a use to rooms that just had no use whatsoever. The next thing we need in this DLC is actual horror. Security Breach is supposed to be a kid-friendly horror game, but there's no such thing as a kid-friendly horror game.
Are you sure about that?
Now, I don't know if it's because I'm also a big fan of horror movies and blood and guts and gore and scares and jump scares, but everybody can agree that Security Breach was not scary. And you might be thinking, oh, well, it was scary for kids. And, well, let me tell you a story. Back whenever I was in elementary school, the original FNAF came out. And I remember all my friends playing the original FNAF and not getting scared of it. May I remind you, the original FNAF had a death screen where you could see human eyeballs dripping out of the animatronic suit. And me and my friends, who were in elementary school, may I remind you, didn't think twice about it. So I find it hard to believe that kids nowadays are going to be getting scared of Security Breach, a game with no blood, no gore, and technically no death. That's why Steel Wool Studios should crank up the blood, crank up the gore, and crank up the scares in this new DLC. Let's bring FNAF back to its roots. And the next thing that this DLC should definitely include is more Vanny. Vanny had so much potential. She was like advertised as the main big bad antagonist of FNAF Security Breach. But then, apparently she only has like 20 minutes or something worth of time in that game, which that's just bad. That is, I don't know what kind of thing they did to take her out of the FNAF Security Breach. She even had a machete in one of the teasers, but then they took that out as well. If you're barely even gonna have her in the game, why advertise it like she's the main antagonist? So in the DLC, we also absolutely need to see more Vanny, and possibly a machete as well. Another DLC concept that I've heard going around is a FNAF 1 styled Security Breach. So I guess how it would go is that you're in an office in the Pizzaplex and you're like checking all the cameras and pretty much just like FNAF 1 except in the Pizzaplex. Now, I don't mind this idea. In fact, I'd be pretty glad if this was the DLC. Also, there are plenty of offices that you go into around the Pizzaplex. Why not let there be an option at the very beginning of the DLC to kind of choose which office you want, like which day? That would add even more uniqueness and even more replayability to the DLC, also while keeping the old FNAF fans happy. So I really like this idea. Plus, it should be less buggy than like a free roam DLC, since you're going to be staying in the office the whole time. So all in all, that's a pretty good idea for some DLC. Another pretty good idea is a free roam mode. I also heard about this concept pretty recently, and although I don't like it as much as the FNAF 1 inspired DLC, I do think it still has potential. I mean, I guess you could say that the FNAF security breach we have now is already a little bit free roam mode, but it's not too much. Like, you still have things to do and missions to complete, and you can only access certain parts of the map at a time. So an actual free roam mode would be pretty neat for the game. But to be honest, if I had to choose between a free roam mode or a FNAF 1 styled game, I'd probably choose a FNAF 1 styled game for the DLC. However, I do have my own unique idea for a FNAF DLC. It would take place in the Pizzaplex during the daytime. You would be playing as Vanessa, or Vanny, and your job is to lure kids into a back room to kill them without the animatronics AI noticing. Your item of choice would be, of course, a machete, but you have to be smart on how you kill the kids, because of course you can't let the parents see. And if you let the animatronics see, then they'll start attacking you for the rest of that day, because at this point in time they wouldn't have been hacked. However, that's just my idea on how the DLC could go, although based off of the one teaser that we have, I predict that the DLC will be about a new section in the Pizzaplex that's being made. That's kind of like a fancy restaurant for the adults, but I'm not sure. I mean, frankly, I'll take anything as long as it has more horror, more scares, and more Vanny. And also more blood, you can't forget that. I mean, come on, this is FNAF, the same franchise that reportedly had blood and mucus leaking out of animatronic suits in the first game. How are you gonna make it this kid-friendly now? I know I've been hating a lot on FNAF Security Breach in this video, but to be honest, I still enjoy it. I still like it, even though it's not as scary as the other ones. It's still pretty good. You gotta remember that this game was made by a small indie developing company, and it must be a lot of pressure for them having these big of shoes to fill ever since Scott Cawthon left. But anyways, let's get back to talking about any possible ideas for the DLC. So let's ask a few more simpler questions. Should there be any other animatronics introduced for the DLC? Well, to answer this question, let's go back to FNAF VR, the first, well, technically second, FNAF game to ever have DLC. In FNAF VR, there was a handful of new animatronics released, and also older, returning animatronics, but none of them really mattered to the lore at the end of the day. They were just cool additions that looked pretty cool, but didn't have any purpose lore-wise, really. And if you go back to the first FNAF game that featured DLC, all the new animatronics introduced there were not canon. So you might be starting to see a pattern here. However, I feel like Security Breach will break that pattern. I feel like Security Breach will either not have any new animatronics, or they will have one or two new animatronics that are very important to the lore. I think the obvious choice on what they could do for new animatronics is Glamrock Bonnie. And here's a definite shot in the dark. What if they add Glamrock Springtrap? Now, I know that sounds absolutely impossible. There's absolutely no way they're going to be doing that. But it is technically possible that they can do that. Because in FNAF Security Breach, Fazbear Entertainment is still trying to poke fun of their past. They're still using their gruesome and bloody past as a way of advertisement. So do I think that Fazbear Entertainment will be making a Glamrock Springtrap? No. But it is technically possible in that universe. But at the end of the day, we're just gonna have to be patient and wait and see what the DLC of FNAF Security Breach will be. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video.